So, on behalf of CH20, I welcome you all to the Changemaker 20 Summit under the presidency of G20 India in collaboration as a part of Y20 and C20 India. Thank you so much for participating in this conference, and we are glad to have you on board. I will play a welcome video now, and after that, Sapna ma'am and Harsha ma'am will take it over.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning. There I can see that a few of our panelists are from US, so good morning. In fact, it is a pleasure to welcome you all for this session on behalf of GNSD. In the morning, we had a very good session on circular economy in practice, and we had a full 2-hour conversation going on circular economy in G20 countries. This evening, I'm glad to welcome my good friend Ashish ji, Abhishek, Cesar from US, and Dr. Sunil Pandey, my colleague, and Harsha, my colleague. I will not take much of your time. I will only introduce Harsha, who is your moderator, and Harsha will take over from there. She is a very dynamic person in the social entrepreneurship space. She's the founder of International Institute for Corporate Social Responsibility. She conceptualized and developed towards the institute since 2010. She started from conducting sessions for the corporates to developing an eco-friendly campus in Goa, India. And on behalf of Harsha, I would invite you to sometime go there and see how beautifully she has broken the conventional knowledge barriers and come up with non-conventional curriculum and education space. She has trained more than 10,000 corporates till date and advised some of the largest publicly listed multinationals in India on ESG, CSR, sustainability, human rights, and biodiversity. So the floor is all yours, Harsha.
Thank you so very much, Sapna ma'am, for such a warm welcome. Usually I do that with all my guests, so it feels different when you're on the other side of the table. Today, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to moderate such a esteemed and knowledgeable panel. We have with us Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, who's the Senior Director, Brillio. He has achieved a lot. He's also 40 under 40 ESG achievers in our country. We have with us Mr. Ashish Gupta, Chief Manager, Bharat Petroleum. He has excelled, and I've seen him training, and he's a rock star when it comes to training on GHG and carbon emissions. We have with us Mr. Sunil Pandey, Director Environment, Waste Management Division of TERI. TERI doesn't need any introduction to any one of us. We have with us Professor Cesar Marolla from Harvard University. They have done astounding work in the space of circular economy and waste management. And we have with us Dr. Hisni Jamil Hussain, Head Corporate Biodiversity of Tata Steel. Tata Steel is very well known for sustainability first and business next. So thank you everyone for joining in. As an icebreaker, my first question to you all is, I know we are all talking about circular economy, but what is that one thing that you all use in your day-to-day life? Just one word and just one product that you use in your day-to-day life that you know that cannot be recyclable or reusable, but you still have to use it. Ashish, would you like to go first?
I would say petrol, because we are dealing with oil and gas.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Same, I would ditto with Ashish. Actually, our daily commute is by petrol and diesel, and it's a problem. We know that it's a problem, but there's no alternative.
I would say the toothpaste is something that we are using. It is not circular.
The one product that cannot be reused, recycled in his day-to-day life.
How's it going, guys? Welcome and hello from California. Um, couple of things. Couple of things that because we deal with a lot of retail locations. I worked.
Yeah, we can hear
Oh, okay,
you.
good. Okay, good. So, in regards of the telecommunications sector where I work, um, uh, most of the components can be recycled or reused. But there's one thing that we never think of, um, and it's hard to recycle. It's just like paper towels. It sounds silly, but paper towels in certain boxes from the devices that get shipped to our locations from Samsung, Apple, and some other big brands. There's certain boxes in packaging that unfortunately gets tossed to the garbage bins and are not recycled. And it's a challenge. It sounds silly and something so basic, I should say. But we are having a challenge about that. Another thing that I really want to highlight is the thinking process, the strategic process to do that, and that's also a challenge to implement as well. So pretty much any strategy cannot be recycled, but it has to be consistent, right? Because a strategy is something that we lay down on paper, we think about it, and it's part of the operations of the whole circular economy program. But that's also a challenge that maybe we don't see the interrelation right now because we are thinking about tangible things, right? What can be recycled or not, what can be reused or not, but also the strategic part of it, how we can actually use a strategy to recycle, reuse, etc., is missing as well. So I don't want to confuse it with different topics, but those are the challenges that we are having in the wireless business.
Yeah, very well laid out. So each one of us are doing or using some or the other products which we can't do much about. Now, my next question is achieving a circular economy is different for products and, as you mentioned, services. What are we have three big companies with us right now, Brillio, BPCL, and Tata Steel. What are the different initiatives that you all are taking in order to ensure circularity from materials to packaging and for the services industry?
Yeah, sure. I think, yes, I think if we look at IT products and services, um, nearly contributes for 2% of the global, carbon footprint. Um, and 2% is sizable, right? I mean, although we feel that IT industry doesn't contribute much to the carbon emissions, but the fact is that it's a 2% shows that um, where it comes from, right, from the audience perspective, and where these emissions come. It comes across the three scopes, right? Whether we use electricity for running our machines, data centers and all, and then we have huge travel, because the customers are in US, Europe, and the people out in working in India, right? Um, so my headquarters is in California and in San Diego, and I am sitting in here. So obviously there would be a required to travel, and that's where a lot of footprint comes from travel. Now, how do we do a circular for travel? I think that's a big question because we just saw in this meeting that how much of glitches we had, and technology, and if you are working on a mission critical projects with your customers, where you need to be present in person, I don't think every time technology could be a substitute. Obviously, in the tough times like COVID, we have seen that our carbon footprint reduced to 85% in just 1 year in 2020 because we didn't have travel, offices were shut down, etc. But the fact is that human to human connect cannot be replaced by technology 100%, right? I think you all will agree. Having a conversation virtually versus in person always have a different flair. So I think that's the biggest challenge we grapple. And but if you really look at the what we are able to do, so one of the thing is that our entire data center is on cloud. That's at least a good step, but eventually you want to be on a sustainable cloud. And for everybody's knowledge, I think you know already that what's a sustainable cloud means. So we are, working in the partnership with Microsoft to kind of not only have our own internal requirements, all IT requirements on sustainable cloud, but also work with them for customers to provide them sustainable cloud. A sustainable cloud is that your entire cloud infra, that runs by a sustainable energy. You're not burning fossil fuel. You're not burning any other forms of carbon emissions, but probably using renewables to run these large data centers and technology centers. Right? So that's a one step. The second is that India is going to be the poised to be the third largest economy. I think you all heard Prime Minister talked about this in the recent Independence Days as well as in the earlier occasions. What it also means that India is the third largest e-waste producer, right? So I think the growth and the emissions. I think if you take this example, also goes in hand in hand. India has nearly a billion phones, but you'll be surprised that we have more than 3 to 4 billion chargers, the mobile charger, right? And one of the great steps the European Union did, that they mandated every single manufacturer, whether it's an iPhone, Apple, or Samsung of the world, or any other manufacturer, to have a single charger, which is a C type, right? And I think that is a great step by European Union, that having a single charger will reduce. Now India has to take that initiative. What we have done, we have actually have a complete e-waste collection model, where whether it's our own infra, technology infra, our computers, our desktops, etc. Um, we actually donate it to the government schools if it's a reusable, refurbished. And then end of life, normally we have a policy that anybody in our company can take a new laptop, right? Hardly we have desktops now, in 3 years. But you all know that today's the IT infrastructure, the hardware, is not lasting only for 3 years. It has a more value to it, right? Maybe not for my technical folks who needs a great processing system to kind of develop best of the best technology solution. But so first thing we do, every single usable, reusable, refurbished computer, we try to donate to schools, colleges, etc. And then if not, then after life we work with authorized, um, recyclers or e-waste companies to kind of work on it. We also have a throughout the year collection drive happens in our office where employees, you know, actually put their all the use technological infra, whether it's a tablet, charger, whatever they can get, and we donate it to the people who are in need. So I think that's a great example. But moving back, I think all of us will relate to one great example of circular economy. Very basic example I want to quote, and this is from our childhood stories. We all used to subscribe newspapers, right? Whether it's in whichever languages we used to subscribe. And I still remember we used to collect these newspapers in a storage place. And after a few months, we used to get like this much of newspaper, and this guy who comes to collect the newspaper, he will wait and he will give you some money for it. And we really to celebrate that as a whole family. Oh, today we got 5 kilogram of newspaper sold for this much of rupee. Somebody will buy peanuts, somebody will buy some. So I think this was in our culture that anything, and you see that even in our homes, right? Even in our childhood, our homes, our parents never used to throw, used, wooden per material or a metal or something. But today, we live in apartments, we live in a smaller places, and we don't want to keep a lot of these things, right? And we just everything is like use and throw, right? So that's a culture shift. I think is we need to really be careful about. Another big initiative we have taken is that 100% no single plastic use. So whether it's anybody in the company, right from our chairman to the a newbie, everybody will use their either water bottles or a glass bottle, but they will not use a single. I think that was a big change we did after pandemic. Um, Slowly, we are also doing a lot of initiatives around how we you know people used to book flight tickets. So, in case if you have to give a justification that whether the meeting which you are traveling for, domestically or internationally, can you do it by virtually? If not, then only your travel will be approved. So I think those are the small bits of actions, initiatives what we have taken. Harsha, I wanted to share a few of them, and happy to share in the, and great to be on this, illustrious panel. Thank you, Professor Sapna, for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Ashish, sir, how about you? You're dealing with the petroleum industry. What are the challenges out there?
A very apt example of what is what we have done in our childhood, and maybe India is a developing country. That is why anything which is, we don't throw it out. I mean, India has a culture of not throwing out anything, and it goes as a circular economy, right from clothes to newspapers to anything and everything. Today maybe that culture has gone, and we are using one time use kind of things have come. And being in oil industry, our product is like there is nothing which is left out, because it totally gets burnt, and it emits some carbon dioxide only. So if I tell you, the kind of initiatives, but that does not mean that we are not taking initiatives. A lot of initiatives has been taken by the oil company to ensure that we also get into the circular economy, right? And whatever the products what we are doing at our locations. Just to give you certain examples, like plastic has been mentioned, right? Plastic is one thing which we are using it for our lubricants packaging, correct? Now, government has already come up with the EPR policy, extended producer responsibility, where the each industry who is using the plastic either as a generator or as a brand owner, we need to dispose plastic responsibly. But the initiative what we have taken is we are using this plastic in making road. Okay. So this is a new technology which is not generally to melt the plastic and put it into road. Rather, what we are doing is we are collecting the plastic and waste along with it, creating modules by that. And in the substrata, while making the road, we are using this plastic, which has got a great binding facility, as well as it takes the load also of the road that comes onto it. So this is a new technology that we have done. We have also taken a patent of that, and we are also trying to take the approval from IRC and CRRI, right? So this is one way of reducing this plastic, and this is also part of our EPR. So this is one circular economy what we are doing. And what we have done is we have now conducted a pilot study at one of our retail outlet, where we have put these modules, and we have also tried to use it and now put the vehicles, and on top of that we got it tested, and we found that the kind of modules what we have generated are are doing the sufficient service, and there is absolutely no problem. And similar kind of a system we have done across 8 to 10 locations at different places, including our refinery, and even in the general public also. Like Noida, along with Noida authorities, we have put that road, we have put along with ITC, and even Bangladesh we have done. And we found this kind of a road is giving a good service. Okay. And here the best thing is that we are using the waste plastic, and any kind of a plastic. It can be either single use, MLP layer, or multi-layered plastic, any kind of a plastic along with waste. The good thing here is that we need not to segregate this kind of a plastic. Now, generally, when you are using plastic and recycling it, you need to segregate and come out with the specific plastic. But in this kind of a technology, you need not to do that. another initiative, what I can do is, as I mentioned, we are doing this carbon emissions, right? So the best for us is to capture this carbon emissions, and we have as a company, we have declared net zero. So our endeavor is to capture this carbon emissions and then try to make products out of it, which could lead to total circular economy. We are not into R&D to look into for making sustainable aviation fuel. That is one product. Maybe methanol is another one, and the best would be urea, right? Because there no carbon dioxide is required for generation of urea. So these are the products we actually are looking into, because the amount of emissions what we are doing, if we can capture and generate products, that would be the ultimate, and that is also going to lead us to get into net zero, which we have declared by 2040. With scope 1 and 2, we are going to be net zero. Another example what I can look for is making biofuel from used oil. See, this is the vegetable oil. What we are suggesting is, if that can be, and we are doing that in our refineries where the large quantity of oil is available, that oil now we give it to the reprocessors and try to create biofuel out of it. So it's a total waste oil which otherwise is being thrown out, but here we are trying to create a product out of it, and that will be again a sustainable product. Another one is we are also looking into making re-refined oil from the used waste oil. As I mentioned about lubricant, see, lubricant doesn't get burned out. So it remains there over a period of time when we drain it out. Now, what is to be done? See, it's a mineral oil. It does not get depleted. So the best thing is to maybe re-refine that and then add additives and then use it. So this is another initiative what we are looking for. We are trying to get into that creation of more amount of re-refined oil, and then use it as a base oil for various applications. Another one I could remember is that could be flare gas. See, every refinery, for sustainability of refinery or sustainability of the processes, flaring is required to be done, right? Now the best is to what extent we can capture that flare gas and use it as a fuel, right? So this is what we are doing. These are again a method of using the waste gas out which is going out, and almost 30 to 40% of the flare gas in each refinery we are reprocessing and using at a flue gas, and this is helping us out to reduce the requirement of heat or energy, or basically the fuel once again. So these are certain initiatives what I could think of what we are doing. Maybe another one I can take it is organic waste. See, we have no other waste which are there, but organic waste is that gets generated at our locations or even refineries. So we are generating biogas out of it. In our refineries, we are generating biogas, and every refinery is almost 40 kg of biogas we are generating, which is equivalent to, let's say, three cylinders in a day, right? And even our marketing locations also, we have a system, mechanical biocomposting is machines are available by which we are generating compost and using it in our gardens. That is all from my end, Harsha.
Thank you so much for sharing all these initiatives. It's really breakthrough. Dr. Hishmi, are you with us today? Would you like to share about the work that Tata has been doing on this front?
Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, the other panelists. I think already we have set the tone why the circular economy is important. So, for the sustainability goals in Tata Steel, we are having 5 primary focuses. The first focus is how we can reduce our carbon footprint. Second focus area is that how we can use our 100% waste which is producing. We are having a third, how we can reduce our freshwater consumption. The fourth area is how we can use the technology. And the fifth area is the biodiversity. If you see the principles of circular economy, these are recycle, reduce, and reuse. So based on that, although if you see the mining and metal business, the circularity is disruptive in nature for the mining, but Nevertheless, the low carbon economy is attracting is. So I just quote three examples what we have done in terms of circular economy. We have established the ferrous scrapping recycling unit in Rohtak in Haryana. So this is first of its kind where we are collecting the waste material, the scrap from different vendors, and we are making shredding this waste material and converting it into the steel. So we have established the Ferro Hat app. It is first of its kind that how we can convert it. And if you see the statistics that in India the scrap is not available, it is very limited. So it is a challenge to collect it. So for the path breaking thing that we have started the scrap collection unit, and we are further constructing a unit where all the steel will be made from the recycling. Second very important thing we have done that the solid waste management. We are handling about 15 million ton of waste material per year as a byproduct from our operation, comprising more than 250 products. These are lying in different stock yard, and these are basically very important to understand that this kind of the logistic to handle and to make them zero waste with the goal by the simple principles to reduce, reuse, and recycle. We have 100% utilized our waste material generating from Tata Steel Kalanganagar. This is another achievement. Similarly, we have acquired new units in Angul, in Maramandli, so where we are also utilizing about 97% of all the solid waste. Another very important thing we have done, we also have established some of the materials, some of the things to use the slags. So again, these products are very important in terms of improving the fertility used as a fertilizer. So one of the product is a Dhruvi gold. So whenever we are converting waste to wealth, this is the success of any of the waste management or the circular economy. So we are creating wealth from the waste. It is something that we also use this slag or the material in the road construction. Even for the packaging, we also done a lot of work. We have established some of the new polythenes which are recycled in nature, which are biodegradable polythenes. So this is another area where we are having a lot of potential. We have made some brands from this waste. This is a Tata Agrito, Tata these the Tata Nirman. So these are the products which are again using in manufacturing. So by the way of doing all these things, we are able to provide a very interesting framework for the circular economy. And I'm sure that if we are understanding the economics behind the circular economy, it is definitely beneficial. Our all this work has been recognized by CII FICCI, so we have got a couple of awards also. Whatever the good work we have done in terms of waste management. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes,
A very,
sir.
very productive, very enriching narrative and talkative. So I really appreciate listening to you guys. I'm learning from you guys. So it's a great pleasure to be here. And thank you for your knowledge. Let me continue with what we do at the wireless telecommunication business in regards of circular economy, and pretty much trying to minimize any type of risk to the environment and to the whole community well-being. So, for example, what I'm saying is we are doing our best to strive that circular economy is one of the main focus of our strategy, right? So we want to lead the way in circular economy in the wireless business, implementing technology on the tool that we have and the devices and the service that we provide. So in essence, I can give you a couple of, I can go straight to the point and give you guys a few examples. So for example, we have programs that they're called upgrades programs, right? So customers, as you know, cell phones are one of the top devices usage and consumption around the world, right? So what we do is to do a trade-in program. So what that means is customers come to the locations, give up their old device or device that maybe they don't like anymore. They want to update and upgrade a new device, or maybe it's not working. So what that means is we exchange that device for a very low cost, and that's important because we have to understand also from the consumer's perspective what would be the incentive. Yes, the incentive will be, hey, I want a new phone, but also that exchange has an environmental impact. Correct. So in essence, we take this, let's call it holistic approach on waste management. So through this approach, our products and services can also help our customers play a role into this circular economy as well. So we use those parts. And as we all know, cell phones contain precious metals, right? So these precious metals can be reused to the new devices. So the old device that the customer bring in and it's going to be exchanged, they're going to ship out to the warehouses, and in essence, use those components to redo or remake another device or fix it and sending it back to the customer. So we don't create electronic waste, which e-waste or electronic waste is a big issue in the telecommunication companies around the world. So in essence, I could say that besides the trading program and reuse and recycle of precious metals in devices themselves, we use, and I teach that too as a consultant as well. Besides working in the private sector, I share this strategy, knowledge, and management skills with executives and other people around the world. So we do a risk assessment of those products and services. So first of all, we have to understand that a risk assessment approach will encompass the availability of the product. Is the product available? So is the product that the consumer wants available for them? Also, the efficiency of the product, the lifetime span of the product itself, how long that device is going to last in the hands of the product. So that's another assessment that we do, and how cost efficient it is. And of course, the longer the time the customer have that device in their hands, the better for the environment, because we don't go and put it back onto the fields per se, right? So the efficiency of the product is very important. And the cost, we all have to do an assessment of the cost. How much money is that gonna cost us? And budgets are very important. So we distribute those budgets in a big company, big corporation that I work for. So you have the marketing money going somewhere, and you have the community social responsibility. Very good example by one of the members of the panel about putting devices back to schools and how that productive use into the community, right? So all those factors are very, very important, and we do a cost efficient analysis of it. And the truth is, actually, it's very cost efficient. So to recycle and reproduce and reuse and that product going back to the customer is much more efficient than getting that product, toss it, which is bad for the environment as well, right? And then give the customer a brand new device. And any cost, and it actually relates to a low cost for the customer and for the company as well. So in essence, we are talking about the economic, the environmental, the social in the sense of how that product, service goes back to the community for the well-being of the community, and the technological part of it. So that's in essence what we do. I really have to say and emphasize that definitely the goal would be stop extracting raw materials, right? And stop disposing those elements back to society. And we call that, when we purchase, sell, resell those products, the sustainability by design. So that's pretty much what it is. So in essence, we use frameworks. It could be risk assessment, risk management, and there's one framework that's used in Europe, not much here in the US, which is called Resolve. I don't remember exactly what it stands for. I think regenerate, share, optimize, virtualize. So that's what we are doing today. In the telecommunication business, we have tons of meetings all around the world. We work with 56 different countries, right? When I was at Deutsche Telekom in Germany, we started a strategy, a plan, a sustainable management system, and it's called climate strategy. And the cost saving programs were up to billions of US dollars. Billions. So it was very effective and it's still in place. You're talking about 2014, we're in 2023. In essence, all these programs, from cost energy saving programs, e-waste, and sustainable, sustainable management systems, are the essence and the most important tool that we have to use in the technological sector. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Yes, Marolla, really appreciate. We have a very powerful panel over here, wherein the industry and the academia, both the parties are coming together, and they can solve a lot of problems that would stay till perpetuity on our planet. Now, do you see that we could have any research collaborations between the industry and academia in order to solve these problems, which many companies are still facing and they don't know how to go about it? If such research projects could be introduced, what could they be? Dr. Sunil, would you like to take the lead in this, please?
And everyone can hear me. So in TERI, we actually are research institution, so we continuously work with industry, looking at such solutions, whether it is Tata's or Mahindra, in terms of their construction applications and sustainable life spaces. We are looking at materials which are more environment friendly. We are looking at air conditioning, which is less energy intensive. We are looking at plants which are more robust, more can survive adverse climate impacts, and also nutritional aspects in the sense that looking at how farmers can grow more climate resilient crops. And now there has been a lot of discussion on millets and also crops then that can survive adverse climate impacts, use less water, use less nutrition. So we are continuously working with industries on these aspects. On the built environment, we are looking at how energy use in the building can be reduced through design aspects, active architecture design aspect, passive architecture design aspects, looking at how other than reducing energy consumption in a building infrastructure, how they can also be made zero discharge in terms of wastewater which they produce, in terms of treating the wastewater, using it for horticulture, using it for process reuse. We have a technology which we recently developed under DST support, which is called DEDOX technology, Advanced Oxidation Technology, which is successful at the pilot scale now, looking at various difficult to treat industrial wastewaters, be it a distillery sector, be it a leather tanning sector, be it paper and pulp. And so our constant endeavor is basically to look at working with industries to come out with solutions which are not resulting further into waste, as the circular economy framework basically says. Which says that it basically works towards designing out the waste. How to basically come out with solutions which don't require further waste management strategies to be applied to. So that is where we endeavor. As a campus, our own campus, if you look at our own field campus at Gurgaon Faridabad Road, we have ensured that it's a low energy consuming campus with a lot of interventions like earth air tunnel for maintaining the air temperature, developing high yield varieties for farmers basically to increase their agriculture produce, water harvesting, water recycling, decentralized wastewater treatment issues. So our overall, and also we also have a university campus which is called Terry School, where we are now working at demonstrating that we can be zero carbon campus. So these are few initiatives which we have been working, not only with industries, but also looking at our own working environment, basically to work towards circular economy umbrella of various initiatives which we take.
That's really great to know. I'm sure the industry people present over here, as well as Professor Marolla, would be working with the industry on some or the other product or service innovation. In addition to this question, I would also like to add, what are the key recommendations for the government, citizens, and other stakeholders to bring in circularity in our economy? And Abhishek, would you like to answer both the questions together?
I'm not the expert, but I'll maybe as a citizen, I will have few right. I think we are too okay with the chalta attitude with the environment, right? Um, and I think the biggest challenge is that how much of this extended product responsibility in totality is done by the products, especially the products which are can be easily taken back, accessible, right? I remember an example of a desktop manufacturing company. I don't want to name here. Um, After repeated calls, this company in Germany refused to take a computer from one of the consumer, and this consumer just goes and put this computer next to the trash bin in one of the cities in Germany. Ideally, the fine should have been charged to the guy who actually put next to the trash bin, because he has put the the one computer which was not functional. But the civic authority actually fined their company, the company where he bought this, and he were trying to replace or asking them to take back the product. So I think this whole extended product responsibility for a B2C segment where the consumers, if they really take the responsibility in totality, I don't think we'll have a lot of e-waste or other kind of waste in the market. I think one industry which has really done well in this, which I really admire, is the automobile industry. When they actually take back their vehicles, uh, people buy second vehicle and they facilitate whether it's a true value by Maruti or others, right? The other areas of this circular economy, you can also work with this whole menace of parking. I'm giving the very as a layman example because everybody knows the bigger facts and figures, but I think the smaller things will make bigger difference in my perspective. See, most of the European countries, they have a concept that if you have a free parking in your apartment or a house, you give it to the on a rent, on a charge to. Now every big city in India, we don't have a parking. We struggle. Go to Connaught Place in Delhi, come to MG Road in Bangalore, or wherever you go. In fact, right. So why don't we look at circular economy as a more it's also a growth engine, right? Also look at the examples where people are driving on roads, right? Most of the countries has special access for if you have more than 2 or 3 people in the car, right? Like US and all, they allow you to be in the fastest lane. If there are more, do we have the system in India? Maybe you say that, hey, where are the roads, right? To have this in a system. But I think those things. The other thing is use of bicycle. I think we are the country who started the, if you remember, I think Sunil ji and Ashish Gupta ji, I think were more senior to me. They will remember that cycling was such a pride and happy moment for us. I waited for my 10th grade to get my first cycle, right? And, that was a joy moment. But I think we are just leaving those things. Today, there's no respect. The culture also has to be changed. The respect comes with the biggest car to the smallest car, then the bike, then the cycle. I think we reverse this theory. So I think there has to be a movement by the government and Prime Minister's office to actually activate some of these things which was already there. I think and once we do this, I think there will be a lot of change will happen. The fourth piece I would say is the whole taxation issues. Now, I was doing a simple analysis before buying a car, and it is a very recent phenomenon. Now, there was a comparison between a hybrid electric and a fossil fuel car. Now, okay, everything has to be green, good, but there is a we can't be like charging somebody more money and much more money for adopting a green vehicle, right? Today, there was like whole maths was given that if you drive 1 lakh kilometer of a hybrid car, then the price extra what you're paying, you will be able to cover it up. Now, 1 lakh kilometer in city roads, how many years it will take for you to cover that cost? And that too paying an upfront cost. So unless that's what I was telling in a conference very recently where our professor also was there, that who is going to pay for this carbon if it's everything is pushed to the end consumer, right? To go green. I mean, sorry to say that, but ultimately, companies, if the input cost goes higher by adopting and paying taxes and this thing, eventually it will pass to consumer, right? And then we expect the consumer to pay us for us to be more greener. Is it the right thing? Right? And that's going to happen and eventually will happen if the carbon tax come, all of this, right? So I think India and we all should create a movement by the government, and government has done some phenomenal work, whether it's a solar, whether it's getting a green cover, the whole Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. I think some of the phenomenal success we have seen in the recent part. I think if we can take some of these ideas of traditions, culture, and if we drive as a motor culturally, give the respect back to cycling, give the respect back to circular economy efforts, and not tax the burden the people who really go on that path. I think these are the few things will probably drive. As a common citizen, I think I can bring this element. Over to you, Harsha.
So much, Abhishek, for such a detailed answer. We have a question from one of our viewers also, Dr. Sunil Pandey. Once you do the research, and I think so, Professor Marolla could also answer on this. The outputs that you all have of the research and the products, do they really serve to the society as a whole? And if you could share some case studies on these lines, would you be able to share some?
Sure. Harsha. Actually, thank you for the question because the research which we do it's not in very academic space. It has to be applied, and it has to be something which works on ground. For example, when we're looking at decentralized lighting solution, a few years back, we didn't have distributed energy coverage, connected energy coverage all over this urban or rural India. So we started an initiative called Solar Lanterns Initiative, Lighting a Billion Lives, where solar lanterns were distributed among the communities which were not connected by grid at that point of time. And also, the program made sure that the women in the area were made in charge of charging those solar lanterns in the night time or daytime when the power is there. Daytime when the power is there. And the residents used to take on a rental basis in the evening when the solar lantern power is required. Over the period, we realized that there has to be added service delivery in terms of what else we can do with the solar lantern. So one of the users suggested that if we connect this with mobile charging point, because mobile charging was a big issue in the areas where there was no power. So these same solar lanterns can also be used for mobile charging. So we did that. We sat with our manufacturers. We did some research. We found out that it's possible. Our manufacturers told that it's possible, and we can put up a solar mobile charging point also with the solar lantern. When they are charged, they can, in addition to light, also charge your mobile phones. So that was a big success. Also empowering women entrepreneurs, not only charging the solar lanterns in daytime, but also attending to minor repairs as and when required, and then keeping the lanterns ready for the renting out in the evening. So that's one good example which I can remember offhand, and I'll be very happy to discuss it further if there's a further question. Thank you, Harsha.
Like to share any applied research learnings and your research being converted into products and being used in the day-to-day life?
Yes, I mean this is one example. Then we also work with communities.
Sure. Professor Marolla, yeah. All right, Dr. Hishmi and Ashish, any of the research that you all have collaborated with institutions such as TERI or any other such research institutions which has an end product and is being used in your companies on a day-to-day basis or otherwise?
So thank you, Harsha, for this question. So definitely, we are having a collaboration with TERI on a couple of things. Decarbonization is one, on waste also, the renewables. Similarly, we are having a collaboration within the industry. So we are working with a couple of international, the BHP Billet is one of them. So we are doing some of collaborative research. So just one example that how we are using this biochar and how we are converting this biomass into biochar. So there is definitely a lot of potential where we are engaged for various kind of collaborative programs. With the collaboration of the research team, we have developed the Dhruvi Gold, as I have told. This is one of the product which has only come with the collaboration with the institute, and this is very important for the academia as well as for the corporates. As much the knowledge the academia is having, as much as the practical approach we are having, that definitely give a wonderful out product. So we have made some of the roads with the help of by using the plastic. So again, that research has been done by the academics and we have implemented. Similarly, for water recovery, gas recoveries, the carbon capture. So many of the things what we are doing, this is all happened because of we are having a very strong relation in the collaboration with the academia.
Harsha, thank you for calling me. What Dr. Ishmi has mentioned, no, we as Bharat Petroleum are also associated a lot with academia, including we have our own R&D center. Now, if I give you some examples, no, today we are talking about green hydrogen, and IIT Bombay is doing a lot of research into it, and then making storage. Storage is also a challenge over there. So we are associated with the IIT Mumbai and even IIT Madras also to look into how to create green hydrogen, what are the various processes or the technologies which can be adopted. We know about technologies, but we have to look into the commercial viable technology that can be adopted. And that is where now we are taking a lot of help from the research institutes. Our own R&D is also doing a lot of research with respect to this one, which I have said is about this plastic waste is one. Similarly, if energy efficient cook stove that we have developed, our own R&D center has developed, and it's giving almost 6 to 8% of efficiency. We are also looking academicia's help now with respect to carbon capture and utilization in various various techniques. We are looking into how to get that developed and what are the possible ways. Again, the requirement of industry is commercial viable possible ways. Otherwise, technology is there, but whether it will be implemented or not, that has to be looked into. So a lot of pilot projects are on as of now, and a lot of help we are taking it. Even TERI, we have taken the help of doing the climate change study. Right, that was some 4-5 years back, where we wanted to understand how climate is going to impact the oil companies, our refineries, pipelines, assets, and what is the impact of climate with respect to our sales. Right. So these are the regular things in academia and industry. If they go together, I am sure a lot of problems can be sorted out.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
Ashish, sir. It has been great interacting with all of you all today. Would there be just one line? I know there is so much that we can keep talking about this particular subject. Would there be just one line of message to all our viewers right now?
If you give me a chance, I would say sustainability is there in our culture and we have to continue with it.
Thank you, Ashish.
I'll go with the Mission Life, which is, last year introduced by Government of India. Every single drop counts.
The world is now driving by the low carbon, and the circular economy is the born of this to achieve.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think the main key challenge in advantage will be global collaboration. So, as I stated before, we work with over 50, 55 different countries, from corporate social responsibility leaders, environmental management leaders, executives, and we still work in silos. So I think collaboration is a key word to use today, and we are doing it as we speak.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Dr. Sunil, Professor Cesar, Ashish ji, Dr. Hishmi, and Abhishek, and thank you, Sapna ma'am, for organizing this and the team of CH20 for making all of us come together. Thank you, everybody, and wishing you all a very good night.
Welcome.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the panel members.